Okay, we're live. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for being here. One of the things that, as I see, people's faces come up, I think when I was writing like free masterclass, nothing is ever free. Our time is exceptionally valuable, and this class is really about how we choose to spend our time. It's about understanding our values to the degree that when we choose to spend time on it, we can confidently show up and be in that space. And you chose to spend time with us today. So that is an exchange that I highly value, and that our job together is to try to make that time really, really useful. So as we go through that, I will ask this. You'll get the most out of it by staying engaged. Sometimes you come on these classes and it's like if you have it in the background, this will be a hard class for you to do that with. Or if you do that with, you're probably not going to get a lot out of it because we're going to get into the weeds. I love to teach and talk about these concepts. I love it even more if we can move from where we are to where we want to be with more clarity. Like that's activation. Then you leave here with something that you can actually take and infuse into your life, into your business, into your relationships. And that would be the biggest gift to yourself and really to yourself, because that's how we honor our time. So with that, I'm just going to get my slide presentation ready. Give 1 second. Perfect. Make this guy small so I can see all your lovely faces still. This guy smaller. Oh, and I noticed that I now have to let people in. Good thing I saw that, because I am the host. And almost there, folks, almost there. Share screen. I think I want to share number 1. Okay, everyone can see my screen? Yes, thank you. And Renee, I'll ask you when I have this multiple view, I'm not necessarily going to be able to see the chat unless I open it up. So if anything pops up in the chat that we need to address, yeah, go ahead. I cannot hear you. Did I mute everyone? You're talking, but I can't hear you. I will check the chat, see what you're saying. I don't know. Can someone unmute just to make sure that this is that's working? And just say hello to me.
Hi
Anybody?
there. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, when I made you as the host, it just wouldn't let me unmute myself.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Do you want me to just stay as the host for now? And if you need something?
Well, can people still see my screen?
No, you're right. It says allow participants to share screen. You should still be able to do that.
Okay, there we go.
Thanks for your patience, everyone.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. Maybe try to toggle that one more time. Here we go. We're back in action. Okay.
And yes, I'll keep an eye on the chat and
perfect.
Let you know. Thanks for your patience.
And you might have to start recording again, because I'm not sure if I am. If that's a fair ask. Okay, so we're back here, and let's go here. And here, there we go. Okay. That's better. Almost there, guys and ladies. Folks, folks. That is one of the things that I am trying to correct, and I catch myself every time I say it. So there we go. So I noticed Kimberly's got a hand up. Renee, I'll let you kind of manage that in the chat and just stop me if there's anything I need to stop for. So welcome. This is a Values Masterclass, and I thought I would start by just sharing my values. Values is something that I have been, I'm going to say, engaged with, like consciously engaged with, since my early 20s, which makes it just over 20 years, if you want to know how old I am. And what I can share with you as we start to work on this, so whether you've like done a lot of work in values or this is your first time really kind of getting down into the weeds of it, is my work has never stopped. Every time that I have a major decision, every time that I do life planning, which happens every year, I come back into sinking into what are my values, because I really use them as the guiding posts to major decisions. And so at the end of today, what I hope, just like I have here, maybe not necessarily with the same level of clarity, because I've been working on it for a very long time, but at the end of today, I hope that you're going to come away with 5 of your own words. I'm going to guide you through a process to do that, and maybe even a sentence that you're like pleased with, a sentence that you're ready to start working with. That is where we're going. And so you can get to know me. My top value is connection. And when I say the word connection, I've thought so deeply about that. I can have any decision come up with in my life, and the sentence I use is, okay, how does this align with, am I connecting and creating in service with love? It doesn't matter what life category. It can be work, it can be a relationship, it can be what I'm doing next weekend. And I can ask myself, how does this align with me connecting and creating in service with love? And when I do that, it's really clear. It can become really clear of what my next choice is. So that is where I'm hoping to guide you today. So these are our objectives for today: to identify your top values, start on a supporting sentence, and then we're also going to evaluate. We're going to evaluate one of your life categories. I'm suggesting work because Renee and her community, right, is about connecting with creative entrepreneurs. So I'm going to guide actually a work example of aligning your values with your work. And then maybe the most important is an invitation, a challenge to say, okay, now that you know this, now what? What are you committed to do to live in more alignment with the values that you've gotten more clarity about? So that's where we're going. I ask for your engagement along the way, and let's get started. So first of all, it's just like, why do this work? Why even get conscious about your values? We already have them. We're already living with our values. We can't not. It's happening in the background. It's part of our patterns. We show up the way that we want to, and we do that unconsciously. We were raised with a certain value set. We have a lot of different influences from society, from technology, from the internet. We have a lot of influences that help us shape our values. Well, we do this particularly when I look at this icon. I look at it as a state of a lot of people's lives, in terms of it can sometimes feel really chaotic as we try to manage all the things that we get to manage. We're living, most of us, I'm taking an assumption because you're on this call today, that most of us get to live in a pretty abundant world. We get to decide and think about what work we're going to do. We get to think about the relationships we're going to engage in. We get to think about things like spirituality or how we're going to spend our free time. And it doesn't take long with the abundance of all the stuff we get to think about that it can start to feel overwhelmed. The options usually aren't the problem. It's choosing which options are right for us. We'll say that again. The options usually aren't the problem. It's choosing what options are right for us. And for me, I'll share that sometimes it gets to the point that, oh, wow, I have so many great options to choose from. They all seem like they're in alignment with my values, and that's where it gets even like that's where you really sink in to being like, okay, what is most important to me? So I think when we engage with a conscious process of what's happening behind the scenes, of what really matters to us, we can move from that chaos to more of a, oh, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm choosing, and I'm really comfortable in that choice. We can say no more confidently to things without the fear of missing out. And we can say yes with a hell yes to more things with the excitement of knowing that it's right. It's in our core. I'm going to play a video. Okay, let's just make sure. I'm going to have to do a new share because I don't think I shared my sound. So let's see. Share sound. Okay. Can you still see my screen? Okay, good. I'm going to play video just to cap this off. This is from a partner of mine. He is an author from California. His name is Steve Farber. And when we do this values exercise inside of a mastermind that we run, he's come up with this really cool way to introduce it called frequency. And he does such an amazing job of it. I'm going to introduce you to Steve. I'm going to play his video. It's under 4 minutes, and then we're going to actually get into the work. And if things go well in my life, you'll hear the sound. Sound?
Back in the day, I had a friend with an unusual answering machine hooked up to the phone in his office. Do you remember the answering machine? It was a mechanical precursor to voicemail. Well, if you called Gary on a day that he wasn't in the office, the machine would pick up, and this is the message that you would hear.
This is not an answering machine, this is a questioning machine, and there are 2 questions. Who are you, and what do you want? And lest you think those are trivial questions, consider that most of us go through our entire lives without ever answering either one.
So you can imagine being caught off guard with that message and then trying to answer it off the top of your head. You can imagine that, right? Good, because those are the questions that I have for you right now. Who are you, and what do you want? And most of us, we tend to go to the what do we want part of the question in terms of the goals that we're trying to accomplish and the things that we're trying to acquire and the relationships that we'd like to build and all of that, which is really important stuff. But if we skip the first part of the question, the who are you part, we lose the foundation for the whole thing. So, who are you is the question that we're going to try to answer for ourselves. Who am I? What's most important to me in the way that I lead my life? There are lots of ways to ask this question. So this is the practice that I call finding your frequency. And of course, that's a radio analogy. So let's take a radio for a moment. This is your typical kind of analog radio. And if I'm in between stations, I get this kind of staticky stuff. Can you hear that? Not a very pleasant noise, even at a low volume. But if I crank it up, if I start to turn the volume up without really tuning into any kind of a frequency, it just gets louder and more irritating and more annoying and even painful. But if I just turn the tuning knob a little bit, now I'm starting.
Uh-oh. Sorry. What did I do? What did I do?
Starting to hear some music.
Sorry.
Nice and clear. Now I've got some music playing, and if I crank that music up, it just gets better. Whereas the volume before was just irritating, now it's great, it's exhilarating, it inspires me, it moves me if I like this kind of music. If I don't like this kind of music, I'll tune into another station that's playing the kind of music that I like. We human beings are very similar to that radio. A lot of people live their lives in the state of perpetual static. And they get so frustrated, but all they really know how to do is to get louder about how frustrated they are. Many of us are not tuned in to the very things that are most important to us. We're not tuned into our passions, our values, our operating principles. We're not tuned into who we are and what we want. We all need to get better at tuning in to ourselves, in finding our own frequency. Then we can live our lives at the fullest, richest, most exhilarating volume. The act of finding your frequency starts by asking yourself this question: what's most important to you in the way that you lead your life? So I'm going to take you through a process now to help you begin to answer that. I think you'll find that if you tune into your frequency, this whole framework of extreme leadership, love, energy, audacity, and proof plays out much more naturally in the way that you work and live. Our raw material as extreme leaders is rooted in our own authenticity, in being in tune with who we really are.
Okay, he just does such a great job with that analogy. And whoops, I don't want to. He does a great job, but we don't do it twice. So one of the stories I want to share before we jump right into it is, for me, knowing my values has helped me to make some major life decisions. I'll talk about two. The one when I was in my early 20s was deciding who the heck I was going to spend the rest of my life with. After dating my partner for over 4 years, I was like, okay, where's this going? What are we going to be doing? Like, is this the woman that I will spend the rest of my life with? And that actually got me deeply engaged with my values and really defining, what do I want? And how does this picture that we're starting to create together match with that? That actually helped me move towards a decision. I'm going to ask this lady to marry me. That was a terrifying decision. And I think part of my passion for moving towards values is my fear in making the wrong decision. And that fear has actually driven me into getting more deep and understanding, okay, what do I care about? But often that fear will have us just avoid. That fear will have us avoid actually defining what we care most about. So that was one. The second one was more recently, just 5 years ago-ish, when I decided to leave my career. It was a career that I'd been for over 12 years. It afforded me many awesome and great opportunities. And I started to feel disconnected. And remember, my top value is connection. I started to feel disconnected from the work. And yeah, had I actually, even after working on values, hadn't I been able to articulate that as clearly as I can today, I would have been in an even better spot to ask for what I needed at work. I would have been in an even better spot to engage and understand more confidently. I decided to leave, but when I left, it wasn't the most confident place I'd ever been in. And certainly 6 months after, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? So I can look back from that and say, holy man, had I had an even stronger sense of a foundation of why I was leaving, which I can articulate now and I'll do later, I likely wouldn't have had as much self-doubt as I did when the going was tough. So those are two short stories about why is it important to really kind of dig into this work. Okay, so with that said, Oh, you're not going to let me move that. Okay. Weird. That instead, I'm trying to share something with you, but it won't let me. So I'm going to stop the share and share again. Let's go to this screen instead. Okay. Okay, now you can see a list of values. Is that right? Perfect. And I'm going to try to make it a little bigger for you. It won't quite let me. Can you see them clearly enough to work
We can
with?
definitely see them.
Okay, fantastic. Then what you'll need to participate in the next right now is a pen and paper or a separate screen somewhere where you're going to be able to type or write really fast. So if you don't have that now, I'll invite you to get that.
Maurice, if you could just like lower it slightly, we just can't see the top line.
Yes, and I will do that right there. Top line is acceptance.
There
Yeah,
we
okay.
go.
We'll start there and then I'll lower it a little bit later.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure that people have a chance to get what they need. So I'm going to wait another 10 seconds. Ish. All right, so here's the time to engage in the work. And starting with, we have a list of words on the paper. The first exercise is going to have you go through, read these words, and as you read them, just check in with, does this resonate with me? Do I feel like this word reflects something that's important to me? And if your answer is yes, write it down. And this is very, very quick. I'm going to turn on my music right away. You guys are going to go at this. And at minimum for this first round, you want 20 words from this. Some people go through this and they have like 50 words because everything's important. And that's okay too. At minimum, you want 20 words. So go through as you read a word. If it resonates with you, write it down. And that's it. So start there. When you're done in the chat, please say, okay, done. So that way I can kind of gauge. When most of the people are done, we're going to move on. And don't worry if we're going too fast along the way, you can always go back and do this. You know, we've got a certain time frame. We're going to stay within that time frame. So most of you, I think, are already doing this. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to turn on some music for you. And oh, I can't turn on music because I didn't share my sound. But if I keep that, oh yeah, I did. Good.
We have a friend asking in the chat if we can print it out. Is it possible at some point for you to, can you send a PDF to the
Absolutely.
chat? Perfect.
I'll go find the PDF right now. Sorry. There we go. Okay, music. There we go.
I guess I forget that I've got all the answers, and I forget that I've got all I need. And guess I forget that the path isn't easy, and what I seek is already in me. When will I learn that I've got this? When will I learn to trust the process?
I will try to zoom in.
When will I learn
Dead for me.
that I've got this?
Okay, this one, I think I'm going to be able to zoom in. So I'm changing your view.
Trust the
Don't freak out
process.
yet. Trying to make it better.
Well, there are days that I lose my believing,
There.
and there are days I lose touch with my soul. And there are days when the fire inside me is nothing more than embers and smoke. When will I learn that I've got this?
You want to trust your answers here. You don't want to be too critical. If it resonates, yes, boom, put it on. Don't worry about discerning right now. You're just trusting your gut.
Trust the process. When will I learn that I've got this? When will I learn to trust the process? When will I learn that I've got all I need? When will I learn that I'm already free? When will I learn that I've got all I need? When will I learn that I'm already free?
All right, Joanne, good job. 100 points for you.
When will I learn that I'm already free? When will I
Suzanne, 100 points. Kimberly, 100 points. As you finish and you're kind of waiting, what I really recommend you do is look at the words that you already have on your paper and just connect with those words. Just read them out loud, let them kind of come into your brain, into your body, and just start connecting with those words. It's going to help you in the next step. Renee, 101 points for you. You get an extra point just for hosting this damn thing. Alicia, 100 points. Levi, Carolyn, Blake, nice. 100 points to all of you.
already free? Bend down, get low.
Oh, and also, good, thank you. The other thing that you can do is put, how many do you have left? Put your number in the chat. Like, how many words did you end up writing down? That's always fun just to see the numbers that people come. 32, 22, 20, 35, 24. Okay, in between that 20 and 30s. No one with a really whoppingly huge number yet. I did this during a retreat in September, and I had somebody with, it was over 70, I think, to start. And I was just like, whoa, it's a lot of writing. Okay, most people are through it. So we're going to go to the next phase. And the next phase is pretty simple. We're going to just take those words that you wrote down. And now you're going to go to those words, and you're going to be a little bit more discerning. You're going to say, okay, from these words that I flagged as being important to me, I'm going to turn down my music. from these words that are on the sheet, I'm going to bring it down to a minimum of 10. And what you might start to realize is you might see some words representing kind of the same theme. You know, like for me, service, love, community, they all kind of represent like a similar, they have a similar feel, a similar theme. So it might help you to kind of narrow down your list to take those thematic ones and pick the word that best represents that theme of words. But whatever your process is, try to get down to now a minimum of 10, your top 10 words. Again, trusting your gut, going through, and when you're done, write down, let us know that you're done in the chat. And let us know how many words you have left. Sometimes people end up with less than 10 during this phase. You got to get a maximum of 10. That was my bad instruction. A maximum of 10. I'm glad I got you to write it down. Get down to 10. There we go. Thank you. Nice. Oh, down to 5 already. Nice job. Arc K. Whoops. What did I do? There we go. So same thing, if you're waiting, rather than getting engaged in something else, connect with those words. Check in on those words. Let them filter through your body.
When you're walking through the clouds, bottles breaking, angry crowd, lion tamers can't be found anywhere. I'm listening to the sounds of mine, Spanish sketches, playground smiles, crowded streets and empty vibes, but all to share. 6 people, so that's about half of us. I like to try to get to at least 10. So if you're doing it in the background and not telling us in the chat, please tell us, because I'm using that as our guiding post for time. And if you're done, play with those words. Play with those words in your mind. Can be helpful if you're like finding challenges on getting it down. It can be helpful to close your eyes and say the word.
to yourself out loud and just hear it out loud, because that actually interacts with a different part of your brain when you do that, being able to hear it. And then just check in with how does your body react. Often you'll have like a visceral like, ah, yeah, that's it, or that's not quite right. Okay, I'm gonna leave 1 more minute. Okay, great job, Par. Okay, so for the people that are like me, and really enjoy having options and really want to really make sure that it feels complete, you're probably going to really hate this next phase, because I'm going to ask you now to bring it down even further. We're going to bring it down to 5. Top 5 words that represent and resonate with who you are and what you care most about. Top 5. This is where those instructions of finding themes of words that kind of mean the same thing and deciding, no, this word feels like it's the most important to me, and write that down. You want to get to 5. And when you get there, again, just like Joanne has done, say done down to 5, and then start to connect with those words. Continue to connect with those words. It's the same words that you've been looking at, but the more you allow your mind and body to connect with them, and you can think about, how does this word show up in your life as you're connecting with it? Okay, this word, how does it show up in my work life? How does it show up in my relationships? How does it show up in what I choose to do with my leisure time? All those things, just kind of do those connections so you're not there just kind of waiting for the next step, but at least get down to 5. Good, we've got 3 people already there. Amazing. 4, 5, excellent. It's actually getting easier for some people. Fantastic. Give you a little bit more tunes.
You were there, so side.
Experiences is one of my value words, and it's part of the reason why I try to have music on in the background, so it's not dead air. I like to think about, what are people going to experience? It's really important to me. I like the good, awesome. I like to call out, if at any time like you get bored with looking at these words, then there's maybe a chance that you're either not willing to engage in them, or they're not your words. These are your highest value words. You could take them and hopefully play in them for a very long time and not get bored. Great. You're welcome. You notice there's 2 parts of that that challenge. It's either you're not allowing yourself the sense of presence to stay engaged in them, or maybe they're not the right ones. Okay, we've got, I'm just doing, okay, that's quite a few. Yep, so I'm going to continue to go on. So here it is. We're going to work with all 5 of those words already. So you've already kind of gotten to the first major milestone. Now we're going to go down to 1 word. I actually hated doing this, and I didn't do it until 2 years ago. And it was working with Steve, where he was like, no, in my exercise, we go down to 1 word. And I'm like, I don't want to. I like options. All these things are really important to me. It's like, that's the point. Go down and find the 1 word that represents all of those things in your mind. Doesn't have to represent like you want to get to a point that you could explain it to somebody. You could say, okay, here's my one word, and here's how it resonates in all parts of my life. For me, my one word is connection. And that was really hard for me to pick. It used to be contribution. And then I'm like, no, actually, when I'm connecting with what I love, when I'm connecting with people, with my family, with my work, with what I'm creating, that's really, really important to me. And I can explain that. I'm really clear on what that means. So keep at it, going to one word. If you don't see the word on the list, by the way, and you have something pop up, please use that. These are here to help you. Awesome, great, awesome. You can also make up a word. If you want to combine a word, it's your values, your choice. Nice work. Nice work. Come on. Renee, Clayton. Indrid. Ark K, and I don't know that that's your name, but I'm still going to celebrate you. Yeah, good. Oh, nice job, Par. You got stuck kind of at that, getting it down to 10 and then getting it down to 1. Okay, great. Fantastic.
On the day that I left her.
And the same thing, now that you got that one word, while we're waiting for the last kind of participants to get it in, while we're waiting, connect with that word. You're all on mute, so like you could, I think, yeah, you can close your eyes and say it out loud, listen to it. Write it out in a couple different ways. Just allow your body and your whole senses to kind of connect with that word. Considering how does that resonate with you? How does it show up in all areas of your life?
Give me your eyes, baby. Give me your heart too.
I'd like to see a couple more people get in before we continue.
Give me all of you. I'll be thinking about you all my days. I'll be thinking about you all the way. And I'm not sure how, but you're in there.
And even if you're struggling, yeah, good. Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah. And here's the beauty with these exercises, right? I'm purposely forcing you to make choices, because when we make choices, it helps define our clarity. So if you make a choice that feels wrong, like when we go into the next section, awesome. Because when you feel that it doesn't feel right, then you go to the other word that feels better. And that is real feedback. That is the feedback of our values. When we give ourselves the permission to be wrong, then we can allow ourselves to hit a wall and say, that doesn't feel right, and take a different turn. And the faster and more grace we can do that with, the more clarity that we can get with more speed. So please take yourself with extreme grace and acceptance. And it's not about finding the exact one that is right for sure, because this might be the first time that you've been asked to do this. It's about what is right enough right now, and then playing with that word. Okay, good. So up next, what we're going to do, turn down my speakers a little bit again. Now we're going to move towards a clarifying sentence. So this, some people just bang, get it right away. And if that happens for you, amazing. This sentence that you create is going to basically clarify that top word as the center. What often happens, you could call it a loophole, is you'll end up kind of finding room for those other top 5 words to fit in there that's supporting that top word. That's what happened with me, and I've seen it happen with most people. That doesn't need to be the case. What you want to do is come up with a sentence that feels right for you. One sentence. Can be a drag-on sentence if you want. It's up to you. The shorter, the better. So mine is connection. Is my top value, and the supporting sentence is to connect and create in service with love, or I am connecting and creating in service with love. And that really is, it's meaningful for me. So you want to create a sentence that's really meaningful for you using your top value word at minimum minute, and then you can loophole some of your other ones in there so they don't feel left out. We're not looking for poetic perfection. We're looking for engaged enough to play with it, to put it on paper. And when you're done, and we'll say done meaning you've created a sentence that resonates with you. It's not perfection. When you're done and you have a sentence, just let us know in the chat. Say done. Wow. Super quick. Amazing. Right. Music. I'll help. Music. Great. Same exercise here as we wait and support, right? All the people that chose to come here, we support them with a little bit of time. You can support yourself now by saying, okay, I did the thing, I have the sentence. That's just the beginning. It's really, truly just the beginning, because now it's like, okay, what does that sentence really mean to me? Where does that sentence show up in all the other areas of my life? Start to engage with the words that you put on the paper. Allow your mind to go to how do you integrate that and those values in your life. If you are brave enough for an extra 1,000 points, you could write your sentence in the chat and share it with the world. Thank you, Clayton. Is clarity your word?
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Right. Nice. Yeah. And Renee, you'd shared that the process of being seen and being okay to be seen, particularly as a creative, that's been a big part of your journey. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna stop my share for a second so I can see people a little bigger. Turn this down. Okay, the next possible OSM, that's a term we use in the mastermind. It's called OSH. I won't swear for Renee's community, but oh shit moment. Oh, I did swear, sorry. When you're asked to, kind of, so a lot of people are already like just showing up and being vulnerable with each other. So what a great community. Is there anyone that would be willing to on mic and actually just read their sentence? Yeah, Renee, please.
I can go first to break the ice.
Yeah.
Like you said, so I wanted to preface with, I thought I already had my words before we did this exercise. And I want to say that my words were connection and impact for the longest time. And as I was going through your list, authenticity was really jumping out at me. And I apologize if I get emotional. But my sentence is, when I give myself permission to truly live authentically, I allow myself to be seen. When I am seen, I make the biggest impact. And I mean, I just really needed the reminder this morning because I was having a lot of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and a difficult time managing my expectations. I needed the reminder this morning that as long as I truly am true to myself, everything's going to be exactly the way it should be.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to check in as you were reading that, and you could almost feel the emotions well up before you said it. How did that make you feel to read out loud and share?
It made me feel seen.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. We're here to see you. And thanks for putting this on so that we could all be seen and kind of look at ourselves and say, hey, here I am. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would be willing to share? I'd like to do at least one more.
I don't mind.
Yeah, please.
My word. See if I can get through this. My word is vulnerability. And that's to be open to offering my own vulnerability to create space so that others can offer their vulnerability.
Thank you. And how does that feel for you to say out loud?
Feels good, I guess. I suppose for me, I've kind of discovered that word for a while now, and it's I think over the last couple of years, it's just kind of reminding myself of that, because I think when we go through hard times, we forget that we're not together, that we forget that we are together, and we think of ourselves as singularly. So then we stop being vulnerable because we think that it's our own battle. And for me, it's pretty important to remind people that we aren't alone and we are going through pretty similar struggles. We just experience it differently. And when I share, then it allows people to share. And to me, that's, I guess, serving people and showing people that they can be great and be loved. Is what means something to me.
Thank you. Thank you. For time, and I want an opportunity for a little bit of questions at the end. So for time, there's one more thing that I want to do as we engage with our values, as we kind of sink into, okay, here's the thing. Now I'm going to invite an evaluation, because we need clarity first of, okay, what is it that's important to me? And when we have that clarity, then we can go evaluate it to, how am I living my life? And for me, context really matters. If you say, how am I living my life in general? That can be harder to answer. You can have a sense of it, but it can be a little bit harder to kind of put a finger on. And I'm going to suggest that you use your work life, how you're engaging in your work, for this exercise. If that doesn't resonate with you, pick another life category, whether it's relationships or whether it's, your creative self, whatever it is. But I'm going to suggest work as the lead. Yes.
Can I please add to that? Just because I know there's some people in my community that have a difficult time identifying their craft as their work. So if some of you are feeling like perhaps when he says the word work, that you don't make a big enough impact in your work to make that connection here, that you really challenge yourself to do that.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to, and I'm going to actually put this in the chat. So for those that want to work with it later or work with it in the chat. But I'm going to share my screen. You don't have to worry about, like, you can just use your blank piece of paper. I'm going to pull this up in just a second. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, look at that. Most of you are on it already. Lost my controls. There we go. Let's do this one. And then we'll bring this over. Okay. So we're going to do one category today. You can do this after this exercise in any part of your life. And I would really recommend, if you're feeling unfulfilled or feeling any tension or feeling like even maybe a loss of sense of direction in any part of your life, then please do this exercise. The point of all this is to help gain clarity about, why do I feel either unfulfilled or tension or whatever it is in this, and how do I move towards more wholeness, something that feels more aligned with who I am and how I'm showing up. So on this sheet, this is where you start with your top value. So for me, this would be connection. And then put all the rest of your values. If you just have a piece of paper, just write them down. You don't have to over-engineer this, but you write them down. And then next, you answer the question, to what degree am I living this in my life right now? And remember, context matters. So if you're doing this in your work life, just think about your work life. And to what degree am I living this right now? And give yourself a ranking on that top value. And then you can bring in your other top 4. And when you're done, when you're done that portion, you can continue. I'll just explain the whole thing so we have a container. After you've answered all those questions, then it's like, okay, what would my ideal life look like? Again, this is in the context of whatever you're thinking about. So let's say it's work life. What would be my ideal work life? If it feels like X right now, what would it have to look like for it to resonate with my values even higher, for me to turn up the frequency of how I'm living and interacting with my work? What would it look like? That vision part is something I really recommend, that we're not going to have enough time to engage in this little call for what I would like. Spend time there. Spend some time and just really enamor yourself with, what would that vision look like? And get really specific when you write that down. I'll often do this on a separate sheet. And then that last step is, what am I going to do to change it? What am I willing to do to change it? And that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where it's like, oh, okay, this is important to me, but how important is it? We always have agency to make change. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it because we're caught in habits or we followed a pattern for so long that fear will prop up and say, I can't make change. That last question is commitment. Understanding where you're at and actually ranking it so you have a sense of where it's at. Understanding where you would like it to be, that's your vision. Caring enough about yourself and your values to set out a vision. And then finally saying, what is my next step? And with that commitment, I really encourage you to chunk it down. It doesn't have to be a list of 100 things. What are your next 1 or 2 or 3 things? That might be to more further write out my vision of what my ideal life would look like. There's your first step. Great. Just do that next. And then do this again and say, what's my next step? We're not trying to over-engineer or overwhelm with 25 action steps to turn your life completely around.
Does it matter if it's right or wrong? If it's all about that song.
I'll move this over here. I don't know if you can still hear my music or not. Yeah, good. Give you a minute or two more with that.
You wanna fly, but you're low. So you're getting high with your name. You don't wanna lie, but you know that it's a bad kind of game. Where the players come, then they go, and the years go by, and it's the same thing.
Oh, I see we even had some latecomers.
There are days when
Assuming that's the same Shadal that I worked with a long time ago. Nice to not see you, but see you.
the good and what has happened. And on those days I tell myself that nothing lasts forever, that pain will come and go, but I'll be standing. Don't let the darkness take you, cast you down and break you. You're stronger than you think.
Okay, I'm gonna leave one more minute because we got to bring this to a
You're
close.
strong enough to live this life. Just take it one day at a time.
Oops, not yet.
You may
Not yet.
dream of
Ah.
taking exactly what you
Support.
want, of handily confronting all your problems. But problems never break themselves in easy little pieces. They hang just like a cloud that keeps on raining. And I wish that I could tell.
Okay. I'd be really curious if you are comfortable sharing in the chat. If you got to a score, share what you used. Like, was it work? Did you go with that, or what part of your life did you examine, and what was your score? If you're comfortable sharing.
Just take it one day at a time. It won't be easy. And you wonder how you made it this. At a time.
38. Great. I thought I was willing to share, but now I have a pen. I don't know what to do with that. That's super weird. Ah, Lord.
I think if you click the editing, maybe.
No, I've never had this before. Like I can write to you guys, but that's not at all what I wanted to do. Can't even close out. This could be a problem. Oh, I see. I did something over here. It's a Zoom. So I was examining my work. I did this morning. This is very current. I do have vision statements that I didn't input in here from the planning work I did just a month ago, and I'm actually quite excited to be like to solidify my commitments. One of the things at work that I'm feeling right now is a bit lonely. I'm a solopreneur. I don't have a team, so one of my commitments is like I want to build that team. I want to do more collaborations. I want to be less lonely, and that would serve my connection a lot more. Okay, so I got to bring this in for a close. So let's go here. Yeah, me too. For me, part of this this values work is really is my music too loud? You can still hear me over top me? Okay, it's still okay. Then I will leave it on because it's not on my screen. Part of doing this values work is really about happiness. It's about us finding out what is our happy, what makes us joyful, what makes us feel most aligned, and then when we find that and make conscious, sometimes really difficult decisions. I want to just say create some space to say sometimes doing this values work will put you into a spot that feels really difficult because maybe you've been following a script or a pattern, or maybe you've been just you've created maybe a life that became more unconscious than you intended. And then if you look at it, you say, I actually want to do something about it. That can blow things up. That can feel pretty scary. So I want to create some space for that to say, hey, if that's happening for you, that's pretty normal. I can tell you that that's happened for me with major decisions in the past. And it doesn't mean that you have to do anything right away. It's like you can sink in to the meaning of what that means for you in your life. And what would be the next most responsible actions that would serve you? We did that. We did all that. I got, I'm going to skip through all that. Look at now when I was writing before it created all this crap, but I don't know how to erase it. If you guys do want to work with me, engage in the work that I do that really furthers into values as well, I've created an offer for you just for this community alone, which will be if you wanted to engage in a life leadership review. That is where I've developed something called the Life Inventory Assessment. There's actually a couple of people or one person on this call that's going through the certification of that right now. And it's a really complete way to look at all the areas of your life and come out with a level of, I'll say, raw clarity and that is really unique. And if that is something that you wanted to be supported in, I'm doing that for this community at half of what I would typically charge. I will put this thing in the chat so that you guys can click and know how to get there. And I'm going to also put my my contact information in the chat. So I will I went over, Renee. I'm sorry, I didn't give you time to properly close. So my deep apologies. I'll hand it back over to you.
Please don't apologize for anything. I'm so, so grateful for today's experience. I shared with you a little bit before we got started that I wasn't really feeling great this morning, and I feel amazing now and have, I guess, a bit of a confidence boost, that just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to do. So I do have as well in the chat, I put a link to my calendar there, just in case anybody wanted to connect with me and get a better understanding of the work that I do. I offer a one-on-one business alignment program that includes a retreat in June for creatives and service providers. And I'm just so grateful for a sneak peek into this experience today. Because I really, really do believe that identifying with our core values really helps us. I like to call it a compass for, like you said, making decisions. And sometimes too, it also helps when you've made decisions and your body sometimes wants to tell you, no, not this, not this, not this. For me this morning, this exercise, reconnecting with it, remembering that I have those tools, remembering that I can gift myself that time and space. And I just feel 100 pounds lighter. And I just also can see how this vulnerability can propel into momentum. So super grateful for this connection. And just know that for each and every one of you, even just the simple fact that you showed up means that you're making an impact in the world. So thank you so, so much for being here.
Absolutely. I'm willing to stay on if anyone has any questions or wants to share. I was just respectful of the time container. So I will stay on to see if there's anything here.
Amazing. Does anybody feel called to share what their sentence was or an aha moment from this workshop today?
I have a question.
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
Kimberly, go ahead.
So got the feeling this was more directed to manifesting, I guess, something into existence, like a birthing. Well, I guess no, that's not the right way. I mean, it seems more like career, I guess, like oriented towards what you want your external life to look like is what I'm trying to say. And I was sort of doing this more like what I want my internal world to look like. So I just wanted to check if I was sort of maybe making a false assumption that it was only directed to, like, can it work equally well if, like, my word was serenity. Like, I don't really care so much about what my life is going to look like. It's not that I don't care so much, just relative. Like, I'm already pretty financially stable and have a lot of the external things. It's just the inner world that I need to work on. So do you feel like this program is equally as helpful for people that are trying to grow their inner world?
Yeah, I've got two. So thank you very much for the question, and that makes me think that the exercises maybe I put too much emphasis on the manifestation of alignment. The step one of values. So just speaking from this what we went through today, the manifestation of your values is very much the inner work. It's what do you care most about? So serenity, as an example, like a beautiful word. Take any part of your life and throw it through that kind of that system of how am I feeling, right? How am I living serenity in the way that I'm living my life? And the idea is that we take our external world and our internal world, and we bring them together. So that was the point of sinking into your values. I use work as an example, but that could be your mental and emotional health as an example. It's like, how am I feeling serenity within my mental and emotional health right now? And if that gauge is really, really low, what would I do to move towards, what's my very next step to move towards improving that? The second part, at least my part of it, when you ask, like, is this program, if you were talking about the life inventory assessment or the life leadership review, so what that, absolutely, it's very much an internal game. What the tool does is it has you look at the external of your life in 13 different categories. And then you get asked 5 health dimensions. One of those dimensions is actually 2 of them are all about the inner game. It's how happy you are and emotionally, how are you feeling when you engage in that external? Because what's happening external, it's really just, it's a reflection of who we are. So that's where we are grounded in this world. So we go to the external to get the clues. So,
Right.
so that would absolutely be an appropriate exercise to say, okay, what is my external world? What is that life lens? What is that showing me? And then finding, so what that call is, it's a 2-hour call, one-on-one with me. When we go through it, what we're doing is, at the end of it, we want to have a really clear focus of whatever the next steps are for you that will bring you the highest returns on quality of life. Most often that's an inner game. In my experience, when I go, it's usually we find a blind spot or we find an emotional block, and it's like, okay, that's the big thing.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I feel like I really only have to change one thing, and that's everything.
Yeah.
I just,
yeah.
I think like my intention is, if I feel like I can conquer this like inner serenity, then whatever I do out there is not going to disturb that, or it wouldn't really be serenity, you know? So,
Yes.
yeah, anyway, maybe I will book a call with you. Thank you. I really enjoyed this. It was clarifying and helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the question. And what you said about I need to change that's the inner game talk, because that's the beauty of finding the root cause stuff. When you find the root cause stuff and turn that around, all of a sudden all the other things in your life just seem to move in with more flow and ease into easier alignment. So totally resonate with that, with the tone of what you're talking about.
Beautiful.
Can I offer just some quick reflection to that as well? Kimberly, what came up for me immediately when you shared that question, and thank you so much for that share, is that we often don't allow our inner desires to infiltrate our goals at work. And for me, that is a big part of alignment as well. So while I totally respect and understand exactly what you're saying here, I just wanted to just echo and remember that you are allowed to feel that serenity at work as well.
Thank you. Yeah, if I can just share my sentence, maybe it will make sentence now. So my 5 words were acceptance, authenticity, connection, consistency, and growth. And then to me, those all came together to form serenity. So my sentence was, I value inner and outer acceptance of myself and others in authenticity, such that both the process and the outcome of this connection is consistency and growth, and ultimately serenity. But I sort of felt like it was a bit wordy, could be simplified. It doesn't really communicate. It just sounds, I know what I mean, but I think, you know, it's a bit, you know, have to siphon through that to pull something out at some level. And ultimately, I'm just sort of wanting world peace, like, you know, something small like that, you know, like I just want the tranquility inside and outside with myself and others, and growth and change, and yet consistency, like no change. And like, I don't know. That's why I just sort of feel like it's the same as I have to change one thing and that's everything. And yeah, obviously, I guess as I'm hearing myself speak out loud, I'm recognizing the need for this phone call with you for further clarification.
I'd be honored to work with you for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Kimberly. Does anybody else feel called to share? How are you feeling, Maurice? Are you feeling complete?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I think we can probably call it to a close unless somebody else has any questions or wants to share their sentence. But I just want to express gratitude again for this community, the sense of community. It was really, really great.
Yeah.
I hope that everyone has an amazing day.
Thanks so much for the engagement. These things are not fun if people aren't engaged, and you traded your time and you engaged in the process, and that's all I could ask for. So thanks so much.
Thank you for your contribution to the world.
Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Good job, Maurice.
All right.
That was amazing.
Good. Yeah. Thanks so much. That was fun.
My mom was also on the call. She is
good.
starting a new career, and I really encouraged her to come.
Mm-hmm.
And you had her in tears.
Oh, good. I celebrate tears, so I hope that's good. But
yeah, she shared with me in the chat on the side. She said, "My word is creative," and which obviously sparked a lot of emotion in me. And her and my dad have recently retired and have started a business as makers, and it's been their dream. And I know my mom's feeling a lot of like imposter syndrome next to my dad because of his talents, and the work that he does tends to have a bit more wow factor than the work that she does. So she had shared with me this weekend that she wants to step into it more like as a business, like identifying with it as a business. Anyways, the fact that she identified today as a creative for me was a really big deal. So I'm just really, really grateful for you. That was an amazing experience.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're happy.
Yes, I'm teaching a class called Soul-Led Sales, and it's about teaching hairstylists that retailing to their clients is being of service. It's caring for them. And as part of my experience, we talk about core values in these words. And I have a similar exercise, but you gave me so much inspiration for my class coming up next weekend too. So
Awesome.
If there's ever another opportunity, I would love to collaborate with you again. I'm definitely, the more I build my community, the more I can see that you can absolutely be of service. And I just wanted to echo that I'm super protective over those boundaries, and I don't trust just anyone. And I think you've offered me a lot of healing, because I will trust more easily in the future, I think.
Good. Well, thank you so much for that expression. And yeah, I'm glad like it feels like we made a difference for some people. So so that's great.
Well, I hope it inspires you to visit more communities, because people definitely, it's about giving permission. That's what it comes down to. Like you're pulling stuff out of people that already exist. They're just conditioned not to value it. Yeah. Amazing.
The so for the follow-up, what, because you'll have the email addresses to everyone that came,
but I can also share that with you.
Sure, yeah, that would be amazing, because then I can send a thanks and include the links. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Definitely think that you should have that list for sure. So
Okay.
I will pass that along to you. I'll do mine and loop you in, but you'll have it in any case.
Okay, perfect.
Sound good?
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much. I like it might take me 2 days before I connect with Matthew and fix that back end stuff. So I'll get that to you as soon as possible.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you, Maurice.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.